I'm here today with Dr. Larry Goodman. We're just going to discuss. My name is Martin Casado. We were just talking about a topic, and we wanted to record this, and something we do often when we have our morning discussions. But one of the things was on fear of missing out, the FOMO issue, and I think one of the things that sparked it, and then I'll let Dr. Goodman continue, but is one of those, like, for example, my girlfriend is interested in CBD oil, yet she doesn't have any of the symptoms, or, like, she doesn't have trouble sleeping. She sleeps right away, and those are the things. Oh, it helps you sleep better. It takes away pain. It takes away certain anxieties. But yet she has some of those things coming home from work, but she unwinds. We go for a workout. She feels better, but she has this need, this FOMO need of, oh, CBD is out and everyone's saying all these things about sleep and all these things about it makes you feel better. And my sister takes it and her anxiety goes away. And I don't know, I just feel like she doesn't need it. I'm saying, if she wants to do it, but there's a certain need. So I'd like you to extend upon that whole thing about FOMO and this kind of scenario.
Sure. So there's a piece of human nature that buys into the illusion that you're not enough. And when you have the illusion that you're not enough, that there's a hole in your soul, that hole in the soul winds up looking for something outside of you to fill it up. And that drive to make yourself be complete can propel someone to everything from addiction to alcoholism to eating disorders to workaholism, etc., up to and including it gets used and is the driving force behind the whole Madison Avenue advertising industry. The notion that there's something missing in you, and we now have the next bright, shiny object that if you get this, then you'll be okay. And if you get this can be whatever you get marketed for. And the current rage in the country is CBD oil, medical marijuana, recreational marijuana, commensurate with the discovery of the cannabinoid receptors in the brain. That became the science that catalyzed people to look for something outside of themselves to fill that void. Oh, maybe if I only have, and I'll just build the sequence for you. If I had the right car, then I'll be okay. If I had the right spouse, then I'll be okay. If I have the right job, then I'll be okay. If I have the right balance in my checkbook, then I'll be okay. If I have go on the right vacation, then I'll be okay. And the current rage in the country is this whole CBD oil. What's making it so interesting is it's one of the new fads that has crossed the barrier between traditional allopathic medicine and chiropractic and nutrition. And it seems like this is the ultimate panacea because everybody wants it. And what you're referencing as far as the experience with your girlfriend is what I call the fear of missing out, which is that whatever is the latest and the greatest, everybody wants to have one. Apple probably does a better job of taking advantage of that drive than anybody, because you need only look at how they line up when Apple announces the availability of the new iPhone number. You pick with whatever the next number is of the next great iPhone. You watch the people line up around the corner from the store and camp out for the sake of getting it's not enough just to get the new iPhone. There's some added value to being one of the first to get the new iPhone.
Right.
Well, now what's happening with CBD oil is because it does have some therapeutic benefit. Some people who've been untreatable in traditional medical systems are achieving therapeutic benefit from CBD oil for a whole host of valid reasons. And then, as my grandmother used to say, it couldn't hurt, because it's natural after all. So what you got to experience with your girlfriend, and this is not unusual, is I'd like to try it. Well, but what you described is she has none of the symptoms and none of the typical reasons why people would derive a therapeutic benefit from it, but other than the sense of being incomplete within yourself, to either be incomplete or worse. This is the point. Or worse, miss out on something that could actually make them feel even better. And who'd want to miss out on that?
Right.
So the drive becomes from the fear of missing out. And the challenge to that drive is, over history, we just exchange one bright, shiny object for the next one. The flat screen TV then got to be a bigger flat screen TV, then got to be the 1080p flat screen TV, then got to be the home theater sound flat screen TV, then got to be whatever. And if you take the time to really go inside yourself and really work within yourself on your own self-sufficiency and your relationship with the Creator, then you get to choose what you choose to be in pursuit of. And it can be done based on your choice, not based on your fear of missing out.
Right. So they create in a sense, a demand for it. I understand the benefits of it, and I see that in small children and doing all those things. But if you don't have the symptoms, I guess it's a big shiny object, like we say often. It's the same thing. I remember the story of when they were creating, when the actual creation of Viagra, when they were putting something, it was actually for some sort of for thinning of the blood, or it did the opposite and started giving this reaction to men.
Originally it was a heart medication.
Yeah, heart medication.
And in administering it as heart medication, the unintended consequence became that the men would have these erections.
Right.
Men who had heart disorders prior would have these erections that they had not experienced before due to the effect of the heart problem.
Right.
Well, then the pharmaceutical industry, being the way that it is, they decided to work on harnessing it for that, since it was a much larger potential market.
Right. No pun intended. But
yes, right.
But the other thing was, in that same article, in that the pharmaceutical knew that they couldn't just put it on the market. They had to show a symptom for it. And an advertising agency actually came up with the term erectile dysfunction, an advertising agency, to create the demand so they can put that and make prescriptions for it. And it became,
if you build it out to the fullest, what they came to do, and what they do in fact, is they have to identify a syndrome, they have to give it a name, they have to market the name, then they have to give the medication a name, because the chemical name of all of these pharmaceuticals is very undistinguishable and difficult to pronounce by the general population. So they've got to come up with a catchy name. When they come up with the catchy name, the next thing they do is they have to work on what color should the label be. And then it just goes on and on and on like that. And the clearest evidence that you can get that you're dealing with a market-created syndrome, disorder, and solution is to look at the prevalence of the commercials on the television for them, because the more frequent they run the commercial, the more profit they're deriving from the medication. So what you've really got is an industry created problem that the industry then markets the solution for, that the industry then demonstrates to you that you could benefit from it too, driven by the fear of missing out. And that's how you corner a market.
Right. Yeah. And then going back to the same, when you do corner, as far as fear of missing out, and also as far as going back to the CBD example, all these things, I think in general, as a human condition, we, if your friends are doing it, or you see some other people benefiting from it, and so forth. And it's just, it's that whole thing when I was little, like, just the Say No to Drugs campaign, it made it worse. People went that. And then I researched even back then when
it's called the herd, HERD, the herd effect.
The herd effect.
And the herd is not individually conscious.
Right.
The leader of the herd determines the direction that the herd will move.
Right.
And so now what you're seeing in social media is you have people who are literally labeled as thought leaders, and the way that they have value in the marketplace is based on how many followers that they have.
Right. Yeah. That's created an epidemic in and of itself, because
Sure.
Also the followers say some terrible things and put some cleavage, and they have a ton of likes, and you put some other people with thought process into them, and unless they have their tribe, they get like it's a weird phenomenon in that sense. But I think the real thing is keeping to like understanding your values, understanding who you are, and going into your self-awareness to be, does this really, like, question the herd mentality, question those FOMOs. I do that often, but when I was younger, I didn't have any control. I just followed it. But now, as I'm getting older, I see that difference. But what do you think's what could help, or what helps certain people that you've helped out to stop this? I'm sure you have patients come in, or somebody come in, or people that you coach that are saying, like, I just don't want to miss out. I don't want to.
So the reason why the 2-day program, Your Goodest Life, begins with a values determination exercise is because when you stop and examine what your values are, and you take it out of the realm of, I just do what I do and I don't know why I do it. I just do it because it feels good, or because that's the way we've always done it in my family, or because whatever. When you really stop and take a look at your values and really codify them, then you can start to make conscious choices and live consciously. And with that information, then you can start to take a look and choose wisely to have things that you fill your life with that are aligned with your values, not aligned with the values of the herd.
Right.
The language of the herd is literally, in neurolinguistics, we speak of everyone's doing it. Nobody wants to be without it. Right. I always do this. I never do that. Well, what's going on with CBD at this moment is everybody's doing it. And if everybody's doing it, A, you've got to decriminalize it. B, the way the government is now continually looking for new sources of revenue, the rationalization and justification for state by state legalizing both CBD and marijuana is they point effectively and affectionately and with envy at the history of the economic impact on the state of Colorado and the state of Washington, where all of these dollars of tax revenue have flowed in to the government. So they take advantage of the fear of missing out, put a tax on it, and derive revenue from it that then can flow to the purposes of people who they're using it to that end.
Right.
They do the same thing with the lottery and gambling.
Yeah, definitely.
It's all one form or another of manipulation.
Right.
And the interesting thing about it is the manipulation is so subtle that the people that are being manipulated are not only unaware that they're being manipulated, they live the illusion that they're expressing their freedom and their individuality. And the way they're expressing their freedom and individuality is by doing what everybody else is doing.
Right.
When I was in my teens and 20s, the way that you expressed your individuality was to wear tie-dyed clothing and blue jeans. And the tie-dyed clothing, especially at the time with the peace symbol on the front, was how you expressed your individuality, and your non-compliance
Did you wear that?
was to comply with the tie-dye peace sign and the blue jeans.
Did you do it?
Well, the blue jeans, not only did I still do.
I'm talking about the tie-dye shirt with the peace symbol.
No.
You never did it?
No, never did it. Never had any interest.
I don't know if you remember, when I was younger, there was a time, I remember in elementary school, there was this thing called Z Cavaricis. And in Miami, everybody had, and if you didn't, they were $70 a pair. I remember, and everybody wanted to get those. And I remember I was late into it. I got like the pair of shorts.
Okay, so there it was.
Right.
You just unconsciously made the telltale disclosure of your fear of missing out.
Right.
Everybody wanted to have them.
Yeah.
Right.
No, definitely.
100%.
No, definitely. When I was younger, all those things, I see a ton of trends. You know, everybody wanted. I remember at a certain point in my 20s, there was all the writing on the shirts, like, "Look, I'm with stupid," or "I'm with this," or like, if you don't, they had quotes on them, and everybody started wearing. And South Beach was full of these people wearing these ridiculous shirts with sayings on them. So yeah, there's a ton of different trends that come in and out. So, anyways, just finish up on a note of. Well, I like to do like a takeaway that you and I discussed.
So the takeaway is, even this phenomena can be harnessed to do good. What we're out to do at the Goodman Factor is to create a tribe of people who are aware of their own values, who do live in conscious awareness of their own values, and who are working to become part of a tribe who honors and respects not only their own values, but the values of their peers and the values of their friends, families, and coworkers, which is why we've developed and keep developing the tribe who are members of the Goodman Factor, who participate in the programs of the Goodman Factor, is all about creating a tribe of enlightened, conscious living individuals who support one another.
Right. Very good. That was our segment on FOMO. I think we're going to be doing different things like this. I think a lot of times we have a lot of things that we want to take topics on, but I think sometimes in spontaneous moments we do, calls like this, and we record them for the benefit of helping out the tribe and helping out other people that would need to know or go more in depth into the thing of FOMO, fear of missing out.
So you can check it out.
Yeah, you can check it out at goodmanfactor.com, www.goodmanfactor.com. We also have an event. We just had an event that just passed called Your Goodest Life. It was very successful. We had a lot of certain breakthroughs in their own lives, and it was pretty amazing. I was there myself. We will have future ones, so go to the website, again, goodmanfactor.com. You can also check out our book. It's Fridays with Goodman. It's on Amazon.com. Just put Fridays with Goodman. Also write a great review if you can, and up the Amazon juice on there. So anyway, thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you later, Dr. Goodman.
Okay, great. Thank you. Have an awesome day. Make it your goodest day yet.